broadband technology is a bit of a tricky venture. If we there's the technology is always evolving, and there's always something better right around the corner. And if we always wait for something better or the best right around the corner, we end up being paralyzed and never do anything, and that's a problem. So we should all be aware that there are lots of options out there as you can contemplate which direction you wish to go in broadband. There's the potential Kuiper system, which is the satellite system by Jeff Bezos and Amazon. You have the Starlink system that I think that's Elon Musk, that he wants to put satellites around the country, around the planet. We have the hard fiber network, which is more traditional, like a cable company might use. You have the Motorola system, which is a combination of fiber and towers that broadcast on an LGE signal for Motorola. There's that. There's a lot of options, and so it's an area where, as public officials, we may not be experts in this area. So we want to make sure we get our hands on someone who knows what all the options are, so we can make an intelligent decision.
Broadband, I think there's an excellent opportunity in our area. The county has formed a coalition, countywide coalition now with about 20 members to look at that. I think those are the things that we can actually put the money to good use and try to get broadband. Believe it or not, I'm on an iPad right here with 15 downloads. So I'm on the edge of not having service. And I'm in Dane County. And people don't recognize the fact that even in some of these urban areas, the connection to broadband and internet service is pretty marginal. We got a checkerboard of providers out there. That's going to be a little bit difficult to weave through when you're trying to do a countywide coalition type thing. But that's not something we can't overcome, because that's what we do every day, is try to overcome problems and issues. I think there's some excellent opportunities out there.
I already have prepared and want my executive committee to recommend a request for proposal to look at how we expand broadband in Barron County. And another specific is, when you look at Barron County, if you look at from Highway 8, which transects Barron County east to west or west to east, however you want to look at it, almost in the middle of the county, if you're south of the line of Highway 8 in Barron County, your access to high-speed internet's probably pretty good. You get north of Highway 8, you get in the very northern reaches of Barron County, not so good. So my concrete context for this group is, how do we take these ARPA dollars and expand broadband, which others have really mentioned will happen. You'll increase equalized valuation. You'll have more people working from home. They'll spend more money locally. If they can turn that lake cabin into a home, will they stay here 365 days and make Barron County their home and spend their money locally, which will be economic expansion? My third point would be advice. We have to somehow encourage one another, because I want to take a step back. Part of how I want to spend this money, or how I want to have the Barron County Board of Supervisors approve spending this money, is, look, if you're the town of Apple and you get $100,000 of ARPA money and you want to spend that on broadband expansion, I want to see Barron County match your $100,000 with that local provider match $100,000. So $100,000 becomes $300,000, and instead of getting 2 or 3 or 4 miles of broadband high-speed fiber, we didn't get 4 miles, we got 24 miles. That's what I want to do. I want to leverage. So my final point is advice. Let's us on this group encourage one another that when we talk cooperation, it's not a win or lose, it's a win-win.
It would be fantastic if somebody would take the reins and tell us all, how do we do 5G across the state? Because then we'll be leaps and bounds ahead of. And then I can stop worrying about this little $80 million project we've got here. And maybe 5G is the answer. So I'm glad I followed Jeff French, because he's saying the same thing. And so was Jerry on his iPad, who's about to lose service. And my goodness, we got to take advantage of this. I've heard in other places where 5G has been changes of a lifetime for folks, when they can speed up. And it's the one piece that pulls what Rob was saying and Mike was saying and Jason was saying. It helps us with healthcare. We can do, telehealth from our homes. If we had 5G and we were able to do it with this, it's the one thing with education. We know, I'm looking at Tom Kramer. He's from the other side of Racine County, where they don't even have basic internet service in the town of Norway. If we would just all elevate ourselves, 5G is the one unifying thing.
The resounding thing I'm hearing is it seems is broadband, high-speed internet, 5G. And my district was in the Madison area. I had the town of Dunn, 10 minutes from the Beltline, and the number one issue for those constituents there is they couldn't work from home because they didn't have high-speed internet. So I think that's an underlying theme here is to try to build and grow, especially our rural communities. We need to look at this. But one thing I'll point out, wearing my construction hat, is we need to make sure if we're going to make these big investments, we need to look at who's going to build these projects. Because right now, a lot of the broadband work being done in our state, if you look at the license plates of the workers doing the work, they're Mississippi, Florida, Arizona, and those dollars don't stay in the state. Those workers, they make that money, they go back home with that money. It's a multiplier of about 2.5, 3 of the impact on the local economy if it's actual local workers. So that's something I think we need to think about and talk about as well, because if we're going to make these big investments, we need to try to keep as much of that money in the state as possible.
One of the things we launched here at MadRep is a broadband initiative to really focus on giving broadband infrastructure to rural areas in our 8-county region. And the way we did that was by partnering with a provider who comes into your village, town, or city, no upfront cost to the municipality. We help you get the grant dollars. So we work with you through the entire process, because our concern is that if you look at what the PSC is doing, if you look at what the federal government is doing, if you don't have a game plan, shovel-ready type projects ready to launch, if you don't have committed capital in these programs, as I say growing up, if you're not at the table, you probably on the menu, meaning you will get left behind if you don't have these things in place. So what we wanted to do was help communities get that in place with no upfront cost to come in and start laying that groundwork.
Jim, where are you contemplating? And granted, you can't tell us where you're going to spend the money. We have a process in government with committees and boards and so on. But where are you inclined to expend some of these one-time dollars to make your community attractive and position superior for future success?
Oh, I can tell you, broadband. It's going to be more than that, but the lion's share of this money has to go to an open access fiber network. I've been privileged to talk to a number of cities around the country doing the same thing, some that already have, but the idea that the internet, the question of whether the internet is central to our economy, culture, education system, medical system, every part of our daily lives, that question is settled. It's over. And if you don't have full competitive, at least basic access to the internet, you're not even a part of society right now. And that's just today, or really yesterday. The reason I'm so confident that this is where we're putting most of our money, the public overwhelmingly supports it. We don't have great access to the internet. It's not always affordable. And even for those people that it is affordable, the cost is going up regularly because we have only a single monopoly offering internet access right now. Every question that the public or private sector, that people in government of any level are contemplating, the internet touches that. Every single problem, every single solution involves access to an adequate internet connection. And so that it has to be the next major investment in infrastructure. I would like to be a little bit more broad, but the fact is that's what we need to spend the money on. That's what we're going to spend it on.
Do you have specifics, Jim, on exactly how you would do that? Are you working with a company? Are you going to build out yourself with fiber? Are you using this new LGE Motorola solution? I mean, what do you have any specifics that you're thinking about?
Yes, we've been working on this for years now, and the funding of the program, it's an open access broadband network. We would own the hardware. We would be in the infrastructure business and provide fiber to every property in the city and then maintain it. We would then open up that network to the private sector and allow private companies to compete to provide the internet over our network. The same way we own the road system and any private company can deliver packages on it, we're going to do that with the internet. You choose who you want to sell you the internet, but it's going to be on our fiber network. It's also going to be thousands of times faster than anything that is available now. It's going to be much faster than anybody can actually supply. So it'll be 50-year infrastructure. We've been working with a specific company to build the master plan. What ARPA does for us is it takes the complexity and the risk out of the financing. So it would have been complex. We would have needed considerable more trust and buy-in from the public. This allows us to branch out and provide a service that everybody knows that we need, and eliminates a little bit more of the risk from the public, and also allows us to do it much more affordably than we would have been able to do before.
Have the internet service providers indicated that they would utilize your fiber network?
We haven't had those conversations directly, but these networks exist in other cities in the country. And it's funny, they all say, no, never, we will never use it. Then you open it and they absolutely do, because we are going to be the marketplace. And if they want to compete, if they want to sell the internet, they can offer it for a more expensive and worse service directly to customers, or they can join our network and offer customers a better product. And if they don't, somebody else will.